Should you buy a shelf corporation or use it to be able to get credit financing for your business? That's exactly what I'm about to decode in today's training. We're going to talk about what shelf corporations are, how they work, and what you really must know before you even think about considering a shelf corporation. You do not want to spend the money for a shelf corporation until you see this training. I'm going to reveal a lot of stuff you more than likely don't know that could change your mind on whether or not you should or shouldn't get one. We got a lot to cover during today's training, so let's dive in. So what is a shelf corporation? Well, a shelf corporation is basically a corporation that's established, then set on a shelf to age over time. Now, the idea behind shelf corporations is that they can help you get credit financing, contracts for government, amongst other things, just because you have an aged company, a company that's been open for years instead of one you've just opened today. So shelf corporations are commonly sold for thousands of dollars, sometimes come with other things like corporate kits, sometimes just come with an aged entity. So that's actually what shelf corporations are and how they're used. Let's dive into whether or not they actually help you or not. So look, shelf corporations were very beneficial back in the day. What I mean by back in the day is you used to not be able to set up new entities online. You had to do it by mail, and each state, it usually took weeks, if not months, to set up a new entity. So if you were a company trying to bid on a government contract, well, then you'd have to wait weeks or months to set up your entity to even be able to do so. And this is where shelf corporations really became popular, because people would then go buy an aged corporation. They wouldn't have to wait those weeks or months, and they were able to do things like bid on government contracts. Now fast forward to today. Today, I can go up and set an entity up online within minutes. I can actually have my EIN, bank account, everything set up for the new business within an hour, most of which you can all do online. So because of that, the usefulness of shelf corporations has pretty much gone away. But there's a whole segment of people out there that's still selling them under the idea that just because you have an aged corporation, that opens the door for you getting more credit financing. So is this truth? Is this myth? Well, let's dive in. The question really becomes, should you use one of these shelf corporations? Does it actually do what the people that sell them say it will do? Well, look, the reality is that when you have a corporation and an entity set up and it is aged over time and then you buy it, well, the first thing that happens is an ownership change takes place. So this means that the old person that owned it has now sold it to you, and now you are the new owner of the entity. The minute that happens, the business credit reporting agencies alert all credit issuers associated with that entity and put a notification on your credit reports notifying future lenders, credit issuers, suppliers, insurance agents, all the parties that use commercial credit reports, that an ownership change has taken place. Now, almost all lenders and credit issuers at that point consider the credit report to be re-aged, which means they basically look at it as a brand new entity from the moment the new owner took place. So even though a lot of people sell shelf corporations and sell them under the pretense that you're actually going to be buying an aged corporation and fool lenders and credit issuers to thinking that you've had an entity open longer than you have, the reality is this doesn't take place at all. The credit bureaus, lenders, credit issuers, they all know an ownership change has taken place, and they all re-age that entity and treat it basically as a brand new entity. So basically, you just spent thousands of dollars to buy what you believe to be an aged corporation, but in the perception of lenders and credit issuers, it's not an aged corporation. It's a brand new corporation. So why do they do this? Why do they treat it as a brand new one? Well, they treat it as a brand new one because this practice has been around a long time. And look, let's be honest. Places like Bank of America, Chase, they spend billions of dollars every year fighting fraud, looking for these kind of loopholes that people try to use to fool them in to issuing more credit and lending more money than they actually should. So lenders, credit issuers, the credit bureaus, the FTC, the government, amongst many other regulation bodies all know about shelf corporations. They know the problems that occur with them, and they're looking for them specifically. And whenever you buy a shelf corporation, just because you even dealt with the company that's selling them, in a lot of cases, that alone can actually trigger red flags on your credit report. The minute you buy the entity, all kinds of problems potentially ensue. So what kind of problems? Well, first of all, you take on all of the legal liability for that entity you now bought. So if there's lawsuits, if there's bad debts, anything that's outstanding for that entity is now your responsibility, something you really have to keep in mind. The other thing to keep in mind is that lenders and credit issuers will still count it as a brand new entity. As a matter of fact, in a lot of cases, if that credit report, if you start to build business credit and they realize you bought an aged corporation, they will immediately shut down your credit profile. I get these calls all the time. People buy an aged corporation, they then establish legitimate business credit. DMB realizes that they actually bought an aged corporation and shuts down the credit profile. The credit profile is dead. You can no longer build credit for the actual entity. Now, these problems happen very, very often with all the credit reporting agencies. So the bottom line is, if you want to build business credit, if you want to get money the right way, you want to start from scratch. You want to just set up your entity the right way from the beginning. If you set up your entity the right way and build a fundable foundation that lenders and credit issuers want to see, that goes a long way above and beyond them seeing the age of a business. Yes, of course. If your business is open longer, it will make it easier to get credit and financing. But if you try to fool lenders and credit issuers to thinking that your business has been open longer when it really hasn't, by buying an aged corporation, they know exactly what you're doing. You lose a ton of credibility, and it is not only just prohibited or looked frowned upon by the reporting agencies, government officials, lenders, credit issuers, but it really ruins your credibility with them. It makes it near impossible in a lot of cases to even be able to get credit and financing. Now, I don't have time in this video to go through all the quotes from the Federal Trade Commission, from other government entities, from DNB, Equifax, Experian, from lenders, credit issuers, but they're out there. As a matter of fact, if you go to youtube.com/credit suite and you look at shelf corporations, you'll see a detailed video where I actually show you quotes from all of these entities and authorities, and all of them say the same thing. You absolutely need to avoid shelf corporations because we know what they are, we know how they work, we're looking for them, and you will lose all credibility with us if you try to use them. So, should you buy a shelf corporation? Absolutely not. Look, the reality is you're going to spend thousands of dollars on something that gives you massive liability that you're taking on for an entity you know nothing about. And the negative thing about that is you lose all credibility with lenders and credit issuers. The bureau, the government, lenders, credit issuers, they all know what you're doing. And you lose a ton of credibility with them the minute you're trying to fool them into thinking you have an entity open longer than you actually do. So what's the solution? Well, the solution is to build an entity from the scratch the right way. If you do this, then you can actually build your fundability, your name, your address, your phone number, your industry code, your website, your email, all the fundable foundation things that lenders and credit issuers really look at for authority. Build it the way they want to see it. And when you do this, you've already established a highly credible business in their eyes. Next, you want to start building legitimate business credit. You don't need to have an aged entity to get business credit. You can actually create business credit right now from scratch and get approved with vendors like Uline, Granger, amongst many others. Once you have that established business credit profile and score, then all kinds of other vendors and credit issuers are going to want to give you money. Auto financing, Visa card, MasterCard, cash credit, vendors at places like Staples, Office Depot, Sam's Club, Costco, Apple, all of these sources will give you credit lines just because you have business credit. And the more you build your business credit, the more you give your business the ability to fund itself, even without buying one of those pesky and expensive aged corporations. So if you want to learn more about building your fundability the right way, as well as building your business credit, all you have to do is click the link in the description of this video. There I'm going to give you access to our business credit building checklist that maps out the step-by-step process to succeed, including how to build your fundable foundation, how to get set up with the reporting agencies, how to get started with vendors, and how to continue to build your business credit so your business can fund itself the right way without getting caught in the shelf corporation trap. And by the way, if you want to talk more about building your fundable foundation, getting your business credit reports for free and building your business credit, give us a call for a free finance assessment. We'll do all that with you on a call, as well as tell you all the funding you can get right now. And by the way, yes, even startups can qualify for a tremendous amount of business financing. So give us a call at 877-600-2487 for your free finance assessment. And don't forget to click the link in the description to grab your business credit building checklist. And if you got value from this video, make sure you like and subscribe and keep your eye out for our next video where we talk about more ways to get the money you need to start and grow your business.